If you know me for real, you know I hate anything that's associated with AI. But sometimes, me and that AI overview be locked in like this. For the longest time now, I've wanted to put out a video on the Alice in Borderland Season 3, how I felt about it. Really wasn't the biggest fan of the season, but then recently I thought about how similar it was to Squid Game Season 3. It made me want to make a video even more on the similarities, so here we are right now. So I went to the search bar and I looked up Alice in Borderland Season 3, Squid Game 3 in the same search. And this came up in the AI overview. That there are already claims out there that Alice in Borderland ripped off Squid Game 3. I don't even have to make this video for people already having this conversation. I really only want to focus on two major similarities that I feel like, how the hell did this even happen? How could you even get away with doing this? I mean, they both do play on Netflix, so maybe that plays a part. Maybe that's why there wasn't as big of an uproar at the fact that Alice in Borderland literally ripped out pieces of Squid Game Season 3 and put it in their own shit. Let's go over some of the similarities real quick. Some of them include the fact that both of these seasons dropped the same year, 2025. Both their third seasons, pretty light similarities so far. Getting into the more egregious ones, I didn't even peep this, but the fact that Season 3 of Alice in Borderland employs a whole recruiter to bring people into these games. Damn, wonder where we seen that before. By the way, Squid Game did the recruiter so much better than Alice in Borderland, but I'm just saying things that don't even need to be said at this point. Going back to the similarities though, because there's two that I really want to focus on in this video that are extremely egregious in my opinion. Number one, the one that I hated the most in both of these shows, the surprise baby player. According to AI overview, both shows featured a surprise baby player in their third seasons, which some viewers found jarring and repetitive. And the final similarity I wanted to go over was the USA spinoff by the end of both seasons. Before I get into just how coincidental these similarities are, I do want to touch on this next part of the AI overview article. I want to leave this part out for y'all. Going over the production timelines. Now, according to the AI overview, production for Alice in Borderland Season 3 began before Season 3 of Squid Game dropped on Netflix. I looked on the internet and there's not really a set day for when production for Alice in Borderland Season 3 started. The season was announced back in 2023, and from what I can see, it ended by the third quarter of 2024, which was right before Squid Game Season 2 dropped on Netflix, that being December 26, 2024. But I did see in a couple articles outside of just the AI overview that filming on the second season of Squid Game did begin in summer of 2023, and we know for a fact that Season 2 and 3 were filmed at the same time. So all this just seems very coincidental. Speculation out the way though, let's get into these similarities. Before I do though, y'all already know what y'all gotta do. Go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, do all those things. You let me yap this long and you didn't subscribe yet? Do that right now. And if you're on my TikTok, follow me for more videos like this. Alright, so starting with the surprise baby player. I don't know how both of these shows managed to insert a baby into these death games, but they did, so never put nothing past nobody. In Squid Game Season 3, we see player 222 is pregnant, and she manages to give birth during the fourth game of this iteration of Squid Game. The plot was planned for these two, because if y'all forgot, player 222 and her entire group did not have anything to defend themselves. Anybody attempted to come into the cell where they were hiding in while she was delivering the baby to delete them. After she gives birth to the baby becomes an official player in this game, which obviously irritates the hell out of everybody, because then now you're adding somebody else to this prize pot who can't even walk. Surely a baby is not gonna win this game, right y'all? If anybody's gonna win this game, it's gonna be the main character Gion, who after the mother of the child passes, knowing damn well she couldn't get through the jump rope game, she entrusts Gion with this baby, knowing that he'll do the right thing by it. But like, how do you even know that? I mean, you literally just seen this man in Season 2 lead a lot of the O's to their deaths in that foolish ass plan he had to overthrow the front man in this entire operation. The only thing you can trust is that he is going to get through the game because he is the main character. You cannot trust what he's gonna do with this baby. Oh, you ain't even know this man for more than 3 days. I know your baby daddy ain't shit. Trusting a nigga you ain't know for more than 3 days over your baby dad, that nigga, that's crazy. Anyway, we get to the very end of the season. It's Gion and the baby left. We have more plow armor than Gion. It manages to outlast bro, get the money that by the time it's even able to use the money, it's probably all gonna be ran through. Let's be real. Frontman is not checking in to make sure that bank account is still intact. Now, I really hated this plotline in Squid Game Season 3. I'm gonna be real. I understand it's showing a lack of humanity in the games by making the baby an actual player, but realistically, as a viewer, did anybody think that somebody was going to kill this baby? Why would you introduce a baby? Why would you introduce any character into the game just to ask them like an episode or two later? It just did not make any sense to me. Then you attach that baby to Gion, the main character, and I'm supposed to expect it to die? Don't get me wrong, I appreciate Gion's sacrifice, but just including the baby in general just did not really feel like the best decision in my opinion. Fast forward into Alice in Borderland Season 3, which by the way, I did not know Arisu was towering Usagi like this. But spoiler alert, Usagi is pregnant before the games even start. Unfortunately, he gets dragged in there, leading Arisu to have to go into the games to save his wife. They manage to link up, they take on the final game together, and before you know it, they back home like nothing happened. Shocked, nobody at all. The moment I heard Usagi was pregnant and she's already a main character, I knew she was gonna be straight. I think Arisu was gonna die. And to add insult to injury, at least in Squid Game, the baby was actually a physical fetus. This baby is still in Usagi's belly. She don't even have a belly bump at this point. You literally did not have to write this in at all. Yeah, you just chose to. Usagi had a perfectly good reason to go back into the game. For starters, her and Arisu, along with anybody else that was in the game that chose to leave, their memory is wiped of the game. From what I learned today, the manga goes about Usagi's father completely different from how the Netflix series goes about it. In the manga, he dies, but in the series, he just disappears. Realistically speaking, Usagi seeing her father at the beginning of the season, I guess it would make sense for her to believe that if she went back into the game, she would have the opportunity to save him. Which, like I said, leads her to have more than enough reason to go back into the game. You have to add additional stakes by making her pregnant at this very moment. Because in the end, what did that even do? Unlike in Squid Game 3, the baby serves no purpose for real. It adds no tension, no real stakes. Just a very unnecessary addition that really doesn't do anything for the story in my opinion. Like, I could have made Usagi a couple months pregnant to make these games a little bit difficult for her. Or put her in positions to have to be carried throughout the season, similarly to how player 222 was before she met her unfortunate demise. Shit like that adds genuine tension, not just having Usagi be pregnant to be pregnant for about a couple weeks now. And it do absolutely nothing to her character. Shorty is still moving like she was in the first 2 seasons of the show. Going into rip off number 2. Both shows include an extremely similar end credit scene. In Squid Game 3, we got the frontman finding Gyeon's daughter, giving her his prize money after his unfortunate passing. I believe he got the baby over to a nice home too. What a great guy. But as he's driving through the streets of Los Angeles, he notices another Daichi game getting played. And I know, Daichi in the US, I couldn't roll dice or something, play Uno, Slapjack. But no, they playing Daichi, and that's how the season ends. But we already know that recruiting is going on in the USA, which is more than likely leading to Squid Game USA down the line, because one thing we know about Netflix, they like their money. The creator had to defend himself and let everybody know that he did not make that end scene with the intention of setting up a spin-off down the line. He just wanted to leave an impactful ending, and I could feel the impact for sure. It goes to show that even if Gyeon was some way somehow successful in dismantling the Squid Game in Korea, his efforts really wouldn't have amounted to anything. This ending right here shows that Squid Game is a global entity, which makes the ending even more tragic in my opinion. Like, as I noticed I wasn't see Daichi being played in America, as forced and cringe as it felt in the moment, I could acknowledge how saddening it is to see this. Understanding all Gyeon wanted to do throughout these last 2 seasons, and understanding that Squid Game is here to stay. Going over to Alice in Borderland, y'all want to know what's so crazy about this? Not only does Alice in Borderland do the same thing that Squid Game Season 3 did in its ending, it also does it in the same place. Both of these end credit scenes take place in Los Angeles. Is that not insane? That shit is 2 on the money. Like, how you end up in the exact same place doing damn near the exact same thing? Obviously in their own respective universes though. In the case of Alice in Borderland, Alice and Arisu are the same name, just in 2 different languages. The fact that we're seeing a name tag of this Alice individual means either Netflix is setting up a future Alice in Borderland spinoff, we'll see these deaf games be played in the USA, or they're already gearing up to start a game in the USA. Before we even get to this name tag though, we see Arisu and Usagi see on the news that there's a global disaster going on right now. It's obviously similar to the event that took place in season 1 that ended up sending these people into the games to begin with. So yeah, global disaster is clearly setting up for the US to be involved in these games some way, somehow. Obviously the cause of the games is different from how Squid Game went about it. Still, the setup, the location, all very similar, and I personally don't like his execution on Alice in Borderland. I like the thought of these games being in a controlled environment, recognizing that the natural disaster happened in Tokyo to begin with. It had no other indication that it impacted any other country or nation in the world on the show. As far as I know, y'all can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. So to throw in this global disaster now, it just feels real forced. Yeah, there's no confirmation of a season 4 or Alice in Borderland spinoff in the works, but there definitely will be. Alice in Borderland is definitely popular enough to warrant that, and they had to have acknowledged that to even set up this global disaster to begin with, because again, it's going away from the manga. We are no longer covering the manga anymore, so at this point, it's a free-for-all. I feel like there's enough content to go into a potential spinoff of this series, but I just don't like how the ending was handled. This felt very forced, too on the nose, and damn near identical to Squid Game. If this was in y'all plans this whole time, y'all could have had better setup for this throughout the season. You got like 2 episodes outside of the games where you could have set up maybe some disasters happening in other countries. They don't gotta be right on our face, but it could be in some news articles on the TV, unbeknownst to us, but y'all sprinkle that in there so the hints are there early on, as opposed to, oh, nope, just throw it in the end. I don't know, to me it just felt kind of forced, but to each their own. That's all I got for this video though. Just going over some of the egregious finales in both season 3s of Alice in Borderland and Squid Game. Apparently there are a lot of people that are of the mind that Alice in Borderland did these storylines better than Squid Game did. Me personally, I think the opposite. That's coming from somebody who liked Alice in Borderland season 3 more than Squid Game 3. Keep that in mind. Y'all let me know what y'all think of these similarities in the comments if you watch both these seasons in full. Which series do you think handled it better, and which series do you think gets a spin-off first? I've been Jose, so hopefully we've been entertained, and we gonna talk soon. Peace, y'all.